.44 caliber killer case. First, I want to give you the description. This man is a male white between 25 and 33 years of age. He is 5'7" to 5'11" in height, and he is well built. He operates apparently in the vicinity of main highways and parkways. He chooses victims who are parked generally in automobiles at those locations. And after he completes his shooting, he has access to the parkway and escapes quickly. Jim Gallagher, will you tell me his method of operating?
In 6 of the 8 attacks thus far, he has approached a parked vehicle occupied by a male and a female from the rear passenger side. He has fired 4 shots generally from a Charter Arms Bulldog 44 caliber revolver. This contains 5 shots. He generally shoots 4, leaves 1 in the chamber. Here is the ammo as to opposed to our 38. This is the 44 Winchester S&W ammunition.
And the gun, Jim, generally looks like an off-duty police officer.
This gun generally is similar, very similar in size to your off-duty weapon. On 2 of our occasions, he has fired through a plastic bag, a cut-down garbage plastic bag.
Okay, may I say that in responding to a scene of a shooting, that the police officers responding not all go to the scene at the same time. That as soon as the first automobile arrives at the scene, they announce to the dispatcher the fact that they're at the scene. And unless they need assistance, that the other units spread out and fan out and take up positions on access roads. We should also caution policemen that this man generally fires 4 shots. The gun holds 5 bullets, so there's still 1 remaining in the chamber. For that reason, the police officer should take a special caution. If 2 police officers are riding in civilian clothes, 1 should ride in the rear of an automobile if it's taxi cab. If they come to the scene of a location they calculate to be the kind of place where this man operates, 1 of them should get out of the car and reconnoiter the area, especially at a distance of a block or 2 blocks from the scene they expect the shooting to occur. We appreciate all that policemen have been doing, the ones who have volunteered and so forth. We hope that you continue, and we expect that you will continue to submit information that comes to you. We are very thankful for your efforts, and we really appreciate what you've been doing.
The 44 caliber killer has been described as follows: a male white, 20 to 33 years old, 5'7" to 5'11" in height, clear skin, pale complexion, clean shaven, and dark piercing eyes. He is probably right-handed, shooting combat style, 2-handed and from a crouch. If you have any information, call 961-9613, the Homicide Task Force.
Well, he talks about being possessed by a man he refers to as Sam, and the man he refers to as his father. And he says that his father requires blood, and he goes out and he's forced to do what he's doing. He has to continue to kill people. He resents young white females who are attractive, especially in the attraction that's required for courtship.
Inspector, do you know anything more about this killer as a result of the latest attack?
Well, we're confirmed in our opinion of his method of operation. We're confirmed in his general description. That's an advance.
Are you any closer to his identity, however?
To his actual name, or I would say no.
Have you gotten any help from the special number that's been put out?
Yes, we've received a tremendous amount of calls from the public. The public's been very cooperative. The news people have been very cooperative.
But have they been helpful?
It's obviously they haven't given us the name of the person we're looking for. But they've been cooperative, and we enjoy that.
What about the people at the discotheque? Have they come forward like you hoped they would?
The people that we've talked to have spoken to us. There are other people that we would like to talk to, and we expect to be able to speak to most of them.
Do you think now that Son of Sam is stalking areas, or do you think he's looking for young women with long dark hair?
I think he looks for young females, usually with a young male, and he looks for them sitting in an automobile where they're, I guess, most vulnerable. They're looking forward, and he comes from the right rear, and they may be unaware of his presence until he begins to shoot.
Does he stalk out lovers' lanes?
Well, it's difficult to say what is a lover's lane. Lover's lane, by my definition, would be a location where several people come and sit in cars and do what human beings have been doing from the beginning of time. I don't think that's the place that he would go, because he now has the problem of the other people, other than the ones that he's shooting at, chasing him and catching him.
What is it about the courtship process that seems to attract him? Do you have any idea?
I really have no idea. Apparently he resents it, sitting there.
From your psychological profile of him, what is this compulsion? Has he talked about being possessed by some other spirit or some other being? What is it that seems to drive him?
You said he was going to strike in Basin?
That's true, but he also has called, rather people have called several different times during the course of this investigation, saying that they're here or there, or saying that they are the son of Sam.
A string of apparently unsolved murders that seem to relate to a single killer in New York City history, or is that something that the newspapers have decided to start talking about?
There have been homicides, people who commit homicides in the past, who have committed multiple homicides. This type of homicide is, I think, quite rare. I'm not prepared to say. I haven't studied the records of homicides in the past in New York City, but there have been some similar type crimes in the past.
Up till now, you've said that he apparently didn't know any of his victims, yet now we have two victims who attended the same school, and they were shot in different places in different boroughs. Do you think it's possible he does know his victims or knows of them?
Our investigation fails to indicate that that man is aware of who his victim is before the time he tries to shoot them.
It's totally random.
Apparently is totally random.
Okay, my name Ives Hernandez, and I did have long hair, and about 4 days ago when I cut it, and my hair was about down to my shoulder, but I didn't really have to do anything with the .44 caliber, but I did think about it. But one thing that I really don't do anymore is sit in parked cars. Okay?
My name is Michelle Hamilton, and I've thought about the killer, and I'm not going to cut my hair. I figure if he's going to come, he's going to get you, you're not going to know it, so I'm not going to cut my hair about it. I'm not going to do it. Okay, I live in Queens, in College Point, and like, in your neighborhood, it's always on your mind, you know, you're thinking about it, that he could come, and like with my boyfriend, he was driving, and like he stopped the car, and some guy was waiting at the bus stop, and he came from behind, and he said, you know, and he started to run. My boyfriend just, you know, started the car really fast, and like blew all like rock gravel in his face and everything, and he went back with the cops afterward, but they couldn't find anything.
What's your name? My name is Brian Bauman.
My name is Ann Trietta.
What do you think about it? You live here? Yeah, it's flipped out, you know? I don't even want to go out anymore with this nut, you know?
I can't.
Oh, really? I feel like carrying a piece all the time.
I can't do
Think of cutting your hair? I don't think she has much to worry about.
I'm moving. I think I'm moving out of here.
No, I'm afraid to walk around here, you know? I'm afraid to be in this neighborhood, be in New York, you know, just not running around. There's a lot of times I think about carrying a rifle with me, you know? I don't even want to live here anymore.
No, I can't. I live in Queens, and this guy has got me scared to death. I have long hair, and I just stay in it now. I live in Queens. I go to discotheques, but I'm still scared. So? My name is Barbara Marin, and I live in Queens. And I've thought about cutting my hair, but I will not, and I'm scared to death. And I do not go out at night anymore. My name is Montana Marin. I live in Queens. I'm scared because I have long hair. But I won't cut my hair.
Okay, go ahead.
I know the 44 killers after girls with long brown hair, so when I go out, me and my friends go out at night, we put our hair up so the guy can't see the length of our hair.
Well, my name's Ken, and I haven't really thought. Really? Well, I don't want to do that. I didn't realize. Well, my name's Ken, and I haven't really thought very much about cutting my hair because of the 44 killer. It doesn't really faze me that I have brown hair and it's a little bit longer than.
My name's Carla Farrar, and I'm here in Queens, and of course you see my hair's put up, but it's only for the heat for today. Usually at night I have it up anyway, though, especially if I'm sitting in parked cars. Hi, I'm Carla Farrar, and I live here in Queens, and you see I have my hair up because I've been thinking about the killer. Today it's for only the heat. At night, of course, it's because I think about him, especially sitting in parked cars. Yeah, I live here in Queens, and I've thought about the 44 caliber killer. That's why usually I keep my hair up when I go out at night, especially when I'm sitting in parked cars.
Okay, my name is Valerie Blair. I live in Queens, and I just cut my hair recently. I live here in Queens, and I just cut my hair. It was about this length. I cut it short because of the 44 caliber killer. Last week I cut it.
Now what do I say? I said my name. Denise Miro.
Okay, go ahead.
What? Oh, most of the girls up at the hair styling school wear their hair up because of the man. 44 caliber killer. I go to the school up the block, and most of the girls are wearing their hair up. It's so much beauty school. I go to the beauty school up the block, and most of the girls are wearing their hair up because of the 44 caliber killer. All right. I go to the beauty school up the block, and most of the girls are wearing their hair up because they're afraid of the 44 caliber killer. They wear it up. Ellen Melson.
Conley.
Go ahead now.
I thought about the 44 caliber killer every day since it happened, but have I thought about the killer every day? Every single day I think about it, but I won't sit in the car at night. When I go out with my boyfriend, I get my Corrine Brown.
And I'm really scared of the 44 caliber killer. Like, a friend of mine says, you're gonna go to work. I work here in Flushing. He goes, you're gonna go to work, or you rather, be threatened with the idea that 44 caliber is lurking in Flushing? Because I really have long hair, comes down to here, but like to decoy myself, I keep it up. Like, I work in Flushing here, and a friend of mine says, would you rather work in Flushing and have your life threatened by the 44 caliber killer? And like, I'm even afraid to ride my bicycle here because my hair comes down to here normally, but I twist it up as high as I can and I go it.
There's a lot of crime in New York, and we just have to watch ourselves, and in any big city. And we just have to be really careful, and then we'll be okay. If it's your time to go, you're going to go. All right?
I'd say about 3 shootings ago, that's when it started affecting people. The girls are cutting their hair. They're going home early. They're taking, special precautions. This is. I'm speaking generally. There's still some people that don't, but for the most part, they're being very careful now. And the first, say, 3 or 4, it didn't really affect them. They were a little nervous about it, but they felt it was, something that wouldn't happen to them.
First of all, I'd like to just say that the investigation, which is I'm sure what you're interested in, is continuing full force in Brooklyn, in the Bensonhurst area. It includes continuing to canvass the area for anyone who may have seen anything that we do not now know about. It includes re-interviewing the witnesses we've already talked to, and this is being done. And with some productivity, we have gotten additional facts from some of the witnesses who saw the shooting and who saw things connected with the shooting. I would like to, if I may, give you a description of the clothing based on the eyewitness reports that the individual was wearing, the murderer was wearing.
I would especially ask you to address this appeal to women who are particularly observant about articles of clothing. And it may be that some friend or a member of a family may recall that the person that they may feel could have done something like this was wearing these clothes on that night or that morning. According to the witnesses that we've talked to over the past 24 hours, he's a male white, 25 to 35, approximately 5'7" to 5'10", a stocky build. He was wearing blue denim pants and either a gray long-sleeved shirt with sleeves rolled up or a blue denim jacket. The shirt or jacket was worn outside the pants. And he had light, disheveled hair. In terms of the number of people assigned to the investigation, we are increasing the manpower. Members of the force assigned to approximately 300. Will be slightly over 300 people. That includes investigators. It includes people who will be doing patrol work in all areas of the city. And the patrol will be performed by people in uniform and people in civilian clothes.
Chief Keenan, at some point during the investigation... Let him finish. Sorry.
I just have one other point, and that is to appeal again to, through the media, to anyone who may have a member of his family, an acquaintance, a co-worker, an associate, whom they consider, for good reason, may be the person involved here, either because he was not, he answers the description, is of the type who might do something like this, or who was missing from home during those hours.
Chief Keenan, is there any difference in the description as given on this last shooting as opposed to the fragmentary descriptions given on the previous shootings? Is there any marked difference there at all?
The description given this time, in terms of his height, weight, and so forth, and general physical characteristics, are rather general. I realize that, and so are the previous descriptions. What I think is significant, which may be significant, are the articles of clothing that he is supposed to have worn, and that is why I ask the particularly females who, as I say, are particularly, in my experience, are particularly observant in this regard, to pay attention to that and come forward if they have any.
You were saying about the mothers?
I feel us mothers should have this child, this boy. I personally feel he's an out-of-towner, first of all. I don't believe he lives here. I think he comes in, does what he has to do, and goes back. But give him to us mothers. That's who want to handle him. Don't give him to the cops. Don't give him to these boys. Give him to us mothers. We want to handle him the way we want to, not the way you say. I don't believe courts. Courts are good, don't get me wrong, but he'll get into a sane asylum. He'll stay there 2 years. He'll go home.
All right, well, tell me how you feel, and, let's hear it.
Something has to be done about it, that's for sure.
I mean,
gotta organize group committees.
Something you got to worry about at night, this and that, She's going to get home alive, she's going to be dead, you don't know what's going to happen.
What's going on, Gallo?
What is justice going to do to this guy? They'll put him in an insane asylum and let him go, right?
Right, 10 years from now, he'll be gone, and everybody he kills will be for nothing.
That's it, they'll forget about it.
They'll say he's
this
insane.
guy Charles Manson's supposed to be getting out of jail pretty soon. What did he get? And he's getting out of jail. If this guy Floyd McConnell goes to jail, he'll be out of jail pretty soon.
It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. It just happened that we knew the guy, it was him, that's all. But it could have been anybody else.
So that's been done.
When he was in the Bronx, when he was in Queens, he stood there a while. He'll probably stay here a while and look at somebody else, that's all. It could have been anybody. You can't go after a guy you don't even know what he looks like. They got no clues. Even the cops said yesterday, we're worse off we weren't in the beginning.
Well, I don't understand. If you said that they knew he was hitting Brooklyn a week ago, 2 weeks ago, why didn't they have patrolmen stationary in these areas where they know
they should have put
that people
the areas that people go.
Obviously, he's seen the cops drive by. Said now, you know, he's got at least 15 minutes to work with, and he did it. I mean, how could the cops not sit in cars with decoys,
They should
knowing
have
these guys?
on the beat in the neighborhood.
Because I know a couple of weeks ago they were throwing people out of the lovers' lanes.
Especially where he announces where. Yeah, most of the hits have been by highways and the ocean.
So all you guys knew the guy that got it?
Knew him good. He was a really good guy. He was a good kid. Never had any beefs with him.
Everybody says he was a real good guy, and you figure, oh, the same stuff is heard about everybody who gets shot. This guy he was really a good guy. He wasn't involved with anything.
The baby of his two fathers. They didn't even know each other last night. They both collapsed in each other's arms in the hospital. They didn't even know each other. That just goes to show that what crummy bastard.
I just think he made a mistake by coming to Brooklyn because the people in Brooklyn, they stick together more.
All right, hold it. You get that, Anton?
Called up the police. Why didn't they announce? People would have been more aware of it. He evidently didn't come. I think that he had to come before to scope the area out because you have to know that park to exit and enter. You know what I'm saying? So he evidently came a day ahead to see this situation
He'll watch
out.
you now. He's probably sitting home laughing.
Everyone wants him captured. The vigilante justice here in Brooklyn, is that possible?
That's a very dangerous situation. It's very possible. Knowing some of the people in the city and how they feel, it's a very likely situation. We ask people to hold themselves as best they can and to understand that although we have very little to go on, that he will be caught.
But despite the witnesses, despite the anger, the frustration, and despite even the vengeance, the awful fact of the matter is that the police today are no closer to catching this madman than they were a year ago when he began his reign of terror. There was actually a sigh of relief breathed when ballistics experts confirmed that this attack was indeed made by the son of Sam, and not by some other madman seeking his own moment of infamy. As one cop told me, we haven't been able to catch one of them. Imagine if we were after two. So from the scene of the son of Sam's latest attack in Brooklyn, I'm Geraldo Rivera, ABC News, New York.
Tell me what you saw. About 1 o'clock, my wife and I pulled up to this spot over here, and we saw a man coming from the bridge, walking across the street. He crossed right in front of our car. Now, he looked right at us, and my wife looked at him, and I said, kidding around, that's the killer. He walked over to a yellow Volkswagen, made like he was going into it, then walked around the car and into the park.
Where was the Volkswagen parked?
Directly across the street from the spot where it happened.
Where was it parked?
It was parked right directly across the street from the where it happened. He walked around the Volkswagen, then into the park, and that's as far as we saw it because we both of us turned around.
And you think you could identify him?
Yeah, my wife could.
Of this, you know.
You're saying that? Why me?
Yeah, why me?
How do you feel about the fact that it happened so close to your house?
It's scary.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm not going to go parking. Wait.
Okay. Barbara, tell me what you heard and what you saw.
Well, we heard shots, and my husband said something's going on outside, and then we heard the car horn beeping like crazy. It didn't sound like a broken car horn. He says, I'm going to go outside and see what's happening. He says, meanwhile, call the police. So I called up and I said, my husband thinks he heard shot, you know, can't talk, I'm so nervous. He said, I think I heard shots outside, and we hear a car horn beeping. And I no sooner said that, my husband and my daughter ran in the house, and they said there were 2 people shot in the car. Get an ambulance fast. They're both very badly hurt. So my husband said, you know, I'll get some things. I'll see what we could do to help. And I told the police, I said, hurry up. I says, there's 2 people shot. I says, they're badly hurt. I says, get over here with an ambulance fast. And they went out again, and there was a man already helping the girl there, and he said, try and, you know, get as many towels as you can. He says, we'll try to stop some of the bleeding until the ambulance comes. So my daughter ran in the house, and she got that, and she was helping to wipe off the blood and to see what she could do to help. And the whole block was out. They all came out, and everybody, their main concern was helping these poor people. They were so bad, as much as we could. And finally the ambulance came, and they took him to the hospital, and then I heard that they had gone on to Kings County. And the police were asking questions and everything, and actually we didn't see anything. All we saw was the people hurt in the car.
Did you ever think this would happen in your neighborhood?
No, never. I never did. This is a very quiet neighborhood. Nothing much really goes on around here.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to pray very hard and ask God to help to find this man so that this can't happen again. And I hope everybody else does the same thing, because I think only God can do it. And he'll use the police and whatever as his instruments to catch him, because this has got to be stopped. It can't happen again.
What was he screaming?
He was saying, help me, I can't see, my eyes. And he was saying, but why? I wasn't doing anything. And that's all he kept crying, was to help him. And we saw that he was shot near the eyes, and we were wrapping the towels around his head, trying to stop the bleeding.
Did you ever think this would happen in your neighborhood?
No, I never did. This is a very quiet neighborhood. Nothing like this has ever happened before.
Lover's Lane in a quiet neighborhood in Brooklyn. He had out the same .44 caliber Bulldog revolver. He walked to the passenger side of the car. The window was open. There were two people inside, young people, innocent people. He went into his military crouch, aimed the .44 caliber Bulldog revolver, and started firing. 2 shots into the back of the girl's head, 1 shot into the back of the driver's head, the young man. The other shot perhaps hit the steering column. What will you have for July 29th? He warned in one of his sick and threatening letters to the police and to the press. Sam's a thirsty lad, and he won't let me stop killing until he's had his fill of blood. Well, early Sunday morning, just 2 days after the anniversary of his first cold-blooded attack, he shot 2 other people, his 12th and 13th victims. It happened right here on this quiet Lover's Lane in Brooklyn.
We were riding along Shell Parkway, and as we were driving, right, I saw that a man was running at this point. I didn't see the man. At that point, I still didn't know that he was the killer. That's all I can really say at this point.
So you got there just after it happened and you saw someone?
I would imagine so, yes.
You think you could identify him?
No, I don't think I can. I mean, I could, like, get close, but, like, I'm sure there must be other people that meet that description.
What describe him to me?
Well, he seemed to be, he wasn't too tall of a man. He was like, I guess, a medium-sized man. He was wearing a white shirt with rolled up to here. He seemed to be in dungaree pants. And he was on his way, just moving out, clearing out. That's about the best thing I could say. And his hair might have been, it wasn't dark, but I don't know the color, but I know it wasn't dark. That's all about that I can say about the man.
The last one, yeah.
17th Avenue.
Oh, I see. We were on 25th Avenue, and the parkway was right in back of us. And then that same night, while we were watching television,
How are people reacting to all this that's going on in the neighborhood? Are you kidding?
Well, our neighborhood in the front is quiet. Everybody's in the house. You know, nobody's going out.
Everybody's afraid.
And it's quiet. Nobody's, of course, they get talking about it.
What do people say about it?
He's crazy. Something should be done about it, but they are not going to find him. They say they're not going to find him.
Is this the main topic of conversation around here now?
Yes. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. They'll never get him. If it's anything, he's got a bullet left and he's going to use it on himself. Hey, I look like hell with this head, don't you?
You know, what, has everybody been talking about this a lot?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What do they say?
Just what he's doing.
You know what my dentist told me? That he used to kiss his wife when he's going out. And he told his wife, don't kiss me going out. I'll throw a kiss or wave to you. No more kissing in the car. I'm sleeping bad. That's right.
My face.
Are young people going out as much as they used to?
No. At nighttime, the area is empty. No girls out, nothing.
Why do you think that is?
The reason's on the sand. It's got to be. It's the only reason. This neighborhood's jumping at night. There's nobody out no more. I was out late last night, about 2 o'clock. The streets are empty. Only once in a while you see people on mopeds go by. It's little kids. That's it. Nobody's out. Nobody's parking. My girlfriend, she lives in Staten Island. She don't even want to come into Brooklyn. She's even afraid out there. They don't want to know nothing.
Do people talk about it a lot?
It comes up in conversations. People, I think, are really trying to forget it. They want to get it out of their systems. So.
You think they can forget it as long as this guy is running around?
No, until they catch him, it's going to be the same way. It's going to be a lousy summer until they catch him. Nobody's going to come out. People around here are scared. That's all there is to it. I don't blame them. People you know in your own neighborhood getting shot up. They're going to get them, I know that much. People around here are going to get them.
What do you mean people around here?
People in Brooklyn are crazy. They don't stand for things. People in Queens, they were worried, they were scared. People in Brooklyn, I think, are a little bit different.
What are they going to do different?
There's a lot of people, a lot of big names in Brooklyn, mafia. I think they're going to be out looking for them, including the cops. So the cops got a lot of help. And a lot of young kids, guns, people around. They're just going to be like vigilantes. They're going to be out looking at night.
Do you know that that's happening now?
I see people running around, laying around, guys in cars, a lot of people together. When people do stay together, they are in crowds, but they don't stay out too late. They hang out on the corners and then they go in pretty early. So, I don't care for it. I try to stay upstairs. When my girlfriend comes in, I stay inside. I don't want to drive around. I don't want to park nowhere. I just take my business inside, take care of everything. And people go to clubs. Clubs are all empty. 50 people. There was like 500, 600 people in clubs. The clubs got 50 people in them. And these people are even insane for going out. People in Long Island, Speaks. They got great people playing there on weekends. It's a shame. Nobody wants to go out. All my friends, they just want to stay home. That's it.
Where are some of the high points around here? Some of the places that usually hop?
4th Avenue, 3rd Avenue. Usually a lot of people out. I go there like at night. There's still people there. They hang out in crowds, like I said, in the bars. But most of the clubs.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say that all you see is people driving around in cars looking for him?
Well, there are a lot of young people in this neighborhood that are looking for him, yeah.
What would they do with him if they found him?
I don't know. I hate to predict that. What wouldn't they do with him? That's what I think, right, Gary?
He's got to be caught one way or the other.
He's got to be caught, right?
No doubt about it.
If we could help out the police in any way, I think we should try, right? That's how I feel.
Have you volunteered your services?
Well, they haven't asked me, but I volunteer my services anyway. It's just a total shame because he's killing this neighborhood. There's no girls around. Right? If there's no girls around, we're in a lot of trouble. Those guys are in trouble, right?
What are we going to do? He can't be girls anymore.
That's right. The clubs are dead. He's killing business, the economy, everything, in general.
Are you part of the patrol?
No, I'm not part of the patrol.
You haven't been going out looking for him personally?
No, not personally. I'm not out looking for him. But I'd like to find him anyway.
But you're pretty sure that there are a lot of young people doing that?
This guy's got to get caught one way or another. And if there's a lot of people out helping, there's a better chance.
What has happened in this neighborhood since the killing here?
People have not gone out of their houses. They've been afraid to walk the streets. Nobody's parking in the area, and business is really going down the drain here.
Are you in business here?
Well, I have friends that are in business in the area, yeah. And just the discos are really going out of business because of it. And the women and the men as well are afraid to go in the streets.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
They're both married, but my daughter is afraid to leave the house at night. Even during the day, she's afraid now. Because, you don't know where he's going to strike next. And I feel if he stays in Brooklyn, we'll probably get him. I think he's probably out in Queens. He probably lives out in Queens, and if he comes to Brooklyn, he's not too familiar with the area as far as I'm concerned. They'll probably catch him. All right? All right. When is he going to be on?
Tomorrow night on Saturday evening. How has Son of Sam changed your life?
Oh, it's made me really scared to walk the streets, really. It's like, this guy's got to be caught. He really does. He's got to be either tortured slowly or he's got to be put away because he's ruining everybody's life. It's got me all nervous, I'm telling you. And I got cousins that got long hair. I got long hair. It's got to be put away. It's got to be. There's no doubt about it. It's got my parents scared for me to go out, which never was. And it's just ruining everything.
Do you still go out?
I go out, but like I don't, you know, if I go to a store with my friend, day or night, I get out of the car and I go in with them. I don't care where it is. I don't stay in the car. And like I'm home like 10 o'clock and that's it. I don't even bother staying. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I could be home safe with my family. And what happened to Stacy, everybody knows her. And I don't think it's right. She didn't deserve it.
Thank you.
That's all I could say.
I won't take your name because I don't want to publish it. Has this had an effect on your family?
Sure has.
In what way?
Well, the girls don't go out at night at all. I live in Long Island, besides.
You live in Long Island?
Right,
And you still don't let your daughters out at night?
right. They stay in the house. If they do go out, they're at somebody's house, and they call up before they come home, wait by the front door for them.
Do they think that's reasonable?
Sure they do, because they're scared. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. What has changed about your life since this happened?
Well, I just moved in the neighborhood, Sam. I don't like the idea. I'm scared myself, really. That's all.
What about your daughter? Have you been keeping a closer watch on her?
Yes, I am.
Are you a little bit scared to go out now because of all that's been going on?
No.
You're not? Why not? Have you heard about it? Yeah. Okay. How has the Son of Sam killing changed your life?
Well, my daughter's afraid to go out at nights. She sits around the house. She sleeps. She slept downstairs last night, and she was very frightened. She had the windows open, and I had to go and close them. And the young people don't want to go out anymore to the discotheques. They usually go every weekend on Friday and Saturday, and they're not going.
Because of this killer?
Definitely. Aside from that, they're all frightened.
Are you frightened for yourself?
Not particularly for myself, but for my children. I have two daughters. I'm more frightened for them. I don't usually go out, so.
Have you put new rules on their behavior?
I don't have to. They made their own rules. They're afraid by themselves. You don't even have to tell them anything.
Thanks. I wonder if we might just ask you a couple questions.
All right, fine.
Can we get you both in the picture? Okay. How has your life changed since this latest killing happened?
Well, it has made it a little bit more careful of where I go and a little looking at people and who they are and things like that. Although looking at his picture, I say he looks like most any man that's walking in the street, so it's really very hard to tell about it. But as far as being a lot more careful, I am definitely.
How about for your daughters?
Well, she's not allowed at night out, so it's a little difficult for her as far as like older children. But if she was an older child, she wouldn't be out until something was happened, you know, as far as he's caught or something like that.
I mean, she doesn't go out anyway?
Well, she goes out, but she wouldn't stay out that late, like, you know, children dating and things like that, as far as parked cars and things like that. But I wouldn't have her walking the streets. I mean, it just wouldn't. Nowadays, no matter what, whether it's Sam or anybody else, I wouldn't have her walking the streets. Okay? You're welcome.
You have a daughter.
Right, 19.
One daughter?
Right.
What have you done differently with her since the Son of Sam killing happened?
Oh, I don't make her go out at night. She's scared also. That's it. Just doesn't go out.
She doesn't go out anywhere at all?
No, just her girlfriends, but she makes the parents take her home. And that's it.
Are a lot of the young people in the neighborhood acting like that?
Same way. All her friends.
Why don't you tell me, can you just tell me all at once, because you just told me one more time?
Oh.
Go on until he's caught?
Yes. I think so. She has a fear in her.
Turn behind you.
She's 19 years old. She doesn't want to go out. She's scared. She just goes to her friend's house and makes the parents take her home right to the door. And that's it. Not even to the movies.
Nothing.
I think that. How has the Son of Sam killing changed your life?
Well, it hasn't made me go, places that I normally would go. I would go to different spots. Now I haven't been going there. I've been watching everybody, watching every move he's making. Been covering my hair, changing the ways I've been doing normal life. Like parking and things. I wouldn't, do that anymore. And I've been watching every person I've been looking at on the street, if it was him, and things. So that's that. I'm scared, terrified of him. I'm afraid it's going to happen to me. So I've been staying in a lot, haven't been going out. And I was scared he struck here because I figured he wouldn't, but he did. So I've been scared of him very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Have women come in here asking you for haircuts?
Yes, they have.
Why?
They're cutting it because they're all afraid. And a lot of them, don't want, like the woman said before, they're all afraid to walk the streets, and they don't want their children out either at night. They come, have their hair done, they go straight home.
Have a lot of women been coming in here to get haircuts?
Yes, they have. They've been cutting their hair and they've been changing their color, and they don't want to walk out at night. They come in earlier for their appointments because they don't want to be seen in the streets. And they get home as soon as possible.
Are they trying to disguise themselves so that the Son of Sam...
They're cutting it shorter and they're changing their colors. They're doing as much as possible.
Black.
Really afraid. Again, I won't park or I won't even sit outside my house because I'm afraid.
Let me ask you to say that again. Tell us about what happened was it last night?
The night before last night. I have two sisters and a brother, and they ran outside and they grabbed me, and they brought me in the house, and they're younger than I, and they were really afraid. But they weren't I won't even sit outside my house or anything. I'm really scared. And everybody around here is scared. Everyone. All the girls are really afraid.
What else are you doing differently these days?
Nothing much, that's all. I won't sit outside late at night. And the neighborhood has been so quiet. Nobody hangs out outside or anything. It's been pretty quiet, the neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Are you a mother?
Yes, that's my daughter.
How old is your daughter?
She's 23.
What has happened since the Son of Sam killed a person here?
Well, I was away and she called me up very frightened that she wouldn't go out of the house. Very frightening.
Have you had to make any new rules to keep her in?
Yes, she don't even want to go out herself. She stays in.
Are a lot of the girls acting that way then?
That's right. None of the girls want to go out anywhere.
Would you tell me again how she reacted and how you reacted to when you heard the killing?
Very frightened. I was upstate and I was scared for her because she was home alone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, don't interview, please.
Okay, start going.
How are you?
What a bunch of jerks.
Margaret, what went through your mind when you heard about the killing in the neighborhood?
I just felt that this guy should be captured and killed himself.
Are you worried about your safety?
Yeah.
What do you do about it?
Stay home a lot. Or stay in closed places where I won't be able to be caught.
Do you go out at night at all?
Sometimes. Not very often, though. Not very far.
How do you protect yourself?
It's just by staying home. Not going to any clubs or staying in any cars, parked cars. That's it.
Is it something that you think about a lot?
Yeah. I've been reading about it a lot, too, in the paper.
She's nervous now. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm listening to it on the news. It just gets me very nervous. I get nervous when I go to work in the morning, when I walk down the block to go to the train station. I'm nervous now.
What we try to do is to drive around, see if we see any cars that we know, any of the young people that we know, and warn them. Warn them that it's getting late. As you know, we're riding around. It's after midnight right now.
And we just try to warn the kids, the young people, that they should be thinking about getting home for their own safety.
What would you do if you came across the son of Sam in this neighborhood?
Well, we'd try to observe him and get in touch with the police immediately. We can't do anything. We're not trained police officers. We don't have any weapons. We're really out just for warning. We're not looking to make any kind of an arrest. But if we happen to run across the man, we'd certainly be in touch with the police department immediately.
Then we'll go around to the cemetery, all right?
Yeah.
When did you start this patrol?
Well, yeah, actually, we started it when the Moskowitz, remember her name, the girl that was recently killed, came pretty close to home. And when those things happen, you get very concerned. And not being trained police officers, we wanted to do something. So we thought maybe by riding around and looking out for cars that we know and kids that we know and just warning them.
Your name is Louis Rebecca?
Right, yeah.
Louis, when did you start this patrol?
It's about a week now since the recent murder in this area. Right now, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go there now. Usually during the week, this park is very crowded with, a lot of kids and whatnot. But today, being it's a Friday night and everything, kids go out and they have a good time. So usually Friday nights and Saturday nights are pretty quiet in the neighborhood. There's no hangouts.
Is it usually Friday and Saturday nights are quiet?
Pretty quiet in the neighborhood.
In our neighborhood. They usually go to the discotheques. This area normally on a Friday night would have quite a few cars parked. As you can see, there's no one here now at all. And it's a very desolate area. It's between two cemeteries. Very quiet. Not anybody's parked at all. Not one car. As a matter of fact, I see this trucking company now keeps their lights on all night long. I guess they're trying to help.
Right along. Wait. Okay. Shut up.
I want the red light to be on.
Okay. No.
I want the red light to be on over there.
It's starting now. Okay. Would you tell me what has happened in this neighborhood since the killing by Son of Sam?
What has happened? A lot of people want to kill him. A lot of people want to go out by themselves and kill him because they knew the girl, right? And they want to go out, they want to kill him because he's a crazy guy, and I like to see him killed. But I'm not afraid because I got a lot of people hanging out with me. See them all. Get them all.
And we'll all attack him.
That'll never play.
And we'll all attack him.
Come on.
Okay. What has happened in this neighborhood since the killing?
What has happened? A lot of people want to go and they want to get that guy because they know the people, and these people in this neighborhood won't stand for that. Especially a sick maniac like that. After what he did in Queens and then he came here, he's a crazy guy, and I like to see him tortured, not arrested and put in jail. I like to see him tortured for what he did.
Nah, you don't talk like that.
Aren't you afraid to be out on the street after dark?
All right, I'm afraid when I'm alone with one of my friends, but I got plenty of people here, and I'm not that afraid because I got a crowd. But otherwise, I'd be afraid. Of course I'd be afraid. He's a sick guy. He'd kill any time.
Yeah, but we're so mad about how many times he's done that. We're so mad that fed up that I would attack him if he missed. I would attack him.
Let me ask you, why are you willing to go out at night?
Because I'm not afraid, because I'm with a lot of people at night. I'm not afraid. If I was sitting in a parked car with a guy, then I'd be afraid. No way would I sit in a parked car. Yeah, but see, if I'm hanging out, I'm with a lot of people, and he ain't gonna come. Not if there's a lot of people. But they gotta get him, and I know the people from this neighborhood, if they see him, they're gonna get him.
They're gonna kill him.
Not because you got
York City girl died this evening, a day and a half after she and her companion were shot by the son of Sam. He's the nighttime killer who has stalked New York residential boroughs for a year. Geraldo Rivera reports.
What will you have for July 29th? He warned in one of his sick and threatening letters to the press and to the police. Sam's a thirsty lad, and he won't let me stop killing until he's had his full of blood. Well, early Sunday morning, just 2 days after the anniversary of his first cold-blooded murder, the man who calls himself the son of Sam kept his ghastly promise. Tell me what you saw, Geraldine.
Well, I heard 4 shots, and so I ran outside, and I seen the guy that was shot over there. He was screaming for help. So my mother and my father called the ambulance and the cops, and so we ran over and tried to help them. And so we wiping their faces down with towels, and then the cops and the ambulance came.
Except for the fact that this was his first attack in the borough of Brooklyn, the rest of the bizarre pattern remained basically the same. A quiet street, 2 young people sitting in a parked car on Lover's Lane. Then without warning or motive, the sudden, brutal attack. 4 shots fired from the same .44 caliber revolver he's used before. When it was over, 20-year-old Stacy Moskowitz was gravely injured, and her date, Bob Vigilante, had had his left eye blown out.
The boy kept crying, help me, and I can't see. And he's saying, but why? I didn't do anything. This shouldn't have happened to me.
Dozens of people claimed to have seen or heard at least part of what happened. For instance, several witnesses claim they saw the killer drive away from the scene in a yellow Volkswagen. Frank Vignola told me he and his wife saw someone driving a yellow VW through that area 2 hours before the shooting occurred. Did you see the police composite on the son of Sam?
The new one. The new composite I saw yesterday of a man with shorter hair and cut round with a parted up here.
Was the man that you saw that person, do you think? Could it have been that person?
Very well, yeah.
Have you told this to the police?
Yes.
Do you think if they caught this guy and brought him into a lineup that you could identify him?
Oh, it's a heavy.
Answer the question honestly.
Yeah. My wife could easily.
At their command center in the 109th precinct, and with patrol cars and detectives working over the scene of this latest attack, the largest police manhunt in the city's history continued its frustrating search for this mad killer. But on the streets, the talk among Bob Violante's friends was of vengeance.
They find him, I think he would just get killed. If, he came up on the street right now, people would just, jump on him and kill him.
Ops, no men, us. We want him.
But despite the witnesses and the anger, and despite even the calls for vengeance, the awful fact of the matter is that the police today are no closer to catching this madman than they were a year ago when he first began his reign of terror. There was actually a sigh of relief when ballistics experts confirmed that this attack was indeed made by the son of Sam, and not by some other madman seeking his own moment of infamy. As one cop told me, we haven't been able to catch one of them. Just imagine if we were after 2. From the scene of the son of Sam's latest attack, I'm Geraldo Rivera, ABC News in Brooklyn.
You know, the first thing I want to know, John, is what kind of girl she was. Tell me about Christine.
Chris was a very stylish girl, clothing-wise and going out-wise, and her whole ways about it were modern ways, And
how long had you been?
We weren't gonna tell anybody before, We were just gonna go out, get engaged, and when we come home, we wake up her family if they were sleeping, and then we'd go over my house and wake up my mother, and it didn't work out that way though. But that was our plans. And then in February, March of 1978, we were gonna get married any one of them months, early part in the year, and I guess that didn't come out either, You
have pictures?
I have over here. We were up in Mount Airy Lodge.
Did you ever think
by myself? Then I do a lot of thinking. Why did this happen, and why? Let's say, like you said, why did he pick us? We were just among. I think we were just part of a crowd. Coming out of the movie, walking down to the wine gallery, and there was nothing out wait anyway because it was too cold that night. It was like 0 degrees, And It's, about the part that, the way I think that the guy's still loose and stuff like this, right? This man's got to be caught because he will injure or kill a lot more people if he's not caught in a certain amount of time, because I think he's sick is a word, it's just an excuse for him. And everybody says he's sick or something like that. I don't believe in that. He is a man that I think is only out to kill and injure couples, because maybe he's an ugly guy, maybe he's some kind of a freak that is can't see couples together, or himself he got turned out by a woman, and he can't handle the situation. I cannot call him a man anyway for doing that then, you know what I mean? Because if a woman turns me down, you live on. There's always something else going, you don't have to go around killing people. And he's very good with a gun, and the other way, I don't know, maybe he's nothing the other way. Without a gun, I'd like to meet up with the guy without a gun once. And, and see how tough and whatever, how he would really, his inner, what would come out of him then without this weapon, which everybody already knows he's very good with, right? And I feel sorry for all the people that have happened so far, because I know exactly the feeling, the way I felt in the car. Chris was like I said, very sweet girl, and whenever, let's say, I had a problem or I had something to be done, Chris would, she was a very smart girl, she would take care of everything, and her whole ways about her, like everybody in this town that knew her, she would say hello to everybody. There was nobody that she had a grudge against, or nobody could have a grudge against her, because she was too nice of a girl, you know what I mean? And now this guy had to come along and wash out this whatever happened in goodness, wash everything out, and leader, he had to change my whole routine with Chris, like she's gone, and he changed everything now, and that's why I hate this man, be very honest with you. And like when I close up late at night over here, and I have a few guys that are very close friends of mine, we go out there where it happened and park my car and have drinks in bars out there, restaurants, and try to look if a memory comes back that I knew a face or something that was around the movies when we walked out, or when we were in the wine gallery eating. See if there was a face that I can remember that would bring something up. And the other part is maybe this person, would like to see this car again and see the tragedy that happened. Maybe he walked to the car and snoop around the car, look around. And I would keep an eye on this with friends of mine, and we would, from there we would take it upon ourselves what to do, because, like I said, this man hurt me a lot, and he changed probably my whole lifestyle, I knew what I was going to do already. My plans were made for me, with Chris. But now it's like you're 18 years old again, 19. You're starting a whole new routine, you're living all over, you're looking for another partner again, and you knew exactly what you're doing with Chris, and she knew exactly what she was doing with me, and we were together. I have a very bad hatred for this man now, and if any glimpse I would have seen, I could come up with something, but the bad part is I did not see anything. And I guess that's the part, Chris destroyed our whole dreams together. And in my eyes, he is not fit to walk this earth. And he should not be caught and judged by anybody. His judgment is made in my eyes, you know. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that think that way, especially in my town, in our town here in Ridgewood, where I come from. Yeah, there's a lot of people that would back me in any way that this man is not gonna walk this earth no more, because he destroyed my whole ways and the whole ways about it. But my life still goes on, and I'm not gonna let myself go and become I'm still gonna be the same type of a guy I was, and but this man, like I said, Rallo, he is not. He does not fit among society, you know. And I don't believe in the part him being locked up or being treated for psychiatric thing and something like that. There's only one way for him to go, and that's brutal murder. Not murder, brutal and slow murder, torture. That's the way I look at it, and nobody can change that out of me. And I am not afraid of him. I'm not afraid like a lot of people say, Johnny, ain't you afraid to go home and stuff like this? You know, I'm not afraid because, first of all, I'm not afraid to die because my girlfriend that I loved for 7 years, you meet a lot of other girls here, but this was my real, this was your real love, like, the first love. And whatever happens, if he gets me, good. If I get him, then nobody's going to judge him on him no more because I'll do my own judgment on him. And that's that. Well, after we had our dinner, wine and cheese in the wine gallery, slowly we were walking up the block. I was sliding along the ice, and Chris was walking by the building side, and I was towards the curb or sliding up the block, and Chris always says to me, Johnny, you're getting old already, man. You can't even stand on your legs. We were joking all the way to the car, having a good time. And because she related the story Rocky to her and me, more or less, because all of a sudden he was, let's say, a guy who was actually a nobody, Rocky, right? And all of a sudden, he got this chance to train and stuff like this and be something, go against the best. And I used to play soccer,
CBS Evening News with Roger Mudd substituting for Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. The most intensive manhunt in New York City's history is over. The police have arrested a man they say is son of Sam, the killer who stalked the city streets for a year with a .44 caliber revolver, shooting to death 6 young people and wounding 7 others. The suspect is David Berkowitz, a 24-year-old postal clerk from Yonkers city line. He was seized out who say he told them, "Okay, you've got me." We have 3 reports starting with Gary Shepard.
David Berkowitz was taken from police headquarters this morning after having been there most of the night, undergoing intense questioning. There are reports he has admitted to police that he is the son of Sam and that he has confessed to the .44 caliber murders. But police refuse to confirm that story. They did, however, confirm that the .44 caliber revolver found last night in his car was the gun used in the most recent murder episode.
The .44 caliber gun recovered tonight has been tested, and the bullets match the bullets recovered from Stacy Moskowitz.
After being booked on 4 charges of murder, attempted murder, assault, and criminal possession of a deadly weapon, Berkowitz was taken from the 84th Precinct in Brooklyn under heavy security to criminal court, where he was arraigned and ordered held without bail. The district attorney made a personal appearance and told the court, "It is the position of the people, Your Honor, that the .44 caliber killer stands before you today." The judge said he believes the defendant may be suffering from a mental disease or defect, and he ordered a psychological exam that could take up to 30 days.
Are you considering a not guilty because of insanity plea?
I certainly am. The arraignment was held under tight security precautions because police are worried that someone outraged by the son of Sam murders may try to get even.
A lot of people upset with what he did, and we're going to be sure that he gets to court and gets his chance.
We expect that the grand jury will be able to vote on the question of an indictment tomorrow.
David Berkowitz arrived at the Kings County Hospital for mental tests by early afternoon. and thus ends what police believe was his reign of terror on the New York City area, which began with the murder of Donna Lauria on July 29, 1976. Gary Shepard, CBS News, New York.
July 29th of last year in the Bronx, killing Donna Lauria and wounding her girlfriend. He used his .44 caliber Bulldog revolver 7 more nights, killing a total of 6 persons and wounding 7. His last victim in Brooklyn was Stacy Moskowitz, who lost her life. Her boyfriend nearly lost all his eyesight. 2 days ago, police released the latest artist's sketch. But as it turned out, earlier versions bore a closer resemblance to the man who authorities claim was responsible for the reign of terror. After frustrating months, it wasn't the sketch but routine police work that finally enabled detectives to make headway.
One of the many leads that was followed was in checking cars which had been parked in the vicinity, general vicinity of the homicide in Brooklyn.
The breakthrough was a frightened witness who was walking near the location of the Moskowitz murder. She saw a heavy-set man who walked to his car parked not far from where the Moskowitz girl lay fatally wounded. The witness, who came forward 4 days later, remembered something. There was a parking ticket on the man's car. Officials began a computer search for every car ticketed in that area of Brooklyn the night of the killing. Meanwhile, in Yonkers, north of New York, a 64-year-old neighbor of David Berkowitz, Sam Carr, had received a frightening letter, and his dog was shot. And then, a deputy Westchester County Sheriff, Craig Glassman, who lives in the apartment beneath Berkowitz, got several chilling letters.
I know, Master, that I am doomed, but do not think that I will not tell the authorities of you. True, I am the killer, but Craig, the killings are on your commands.
Saturday, Yonkers police and the Westchester County Sheriff's Office began a full investigation. By Tuesday, the computer check in Albany had disclosed that Berkowitz had been illegally parked at a hydrant the night of the Moskowitz murder in a neighborhood where he seemed out of place. Finally, yesterday, the paths converged, haltingly at first. Deputy Sheriff Glassman went to inspect Berkowitz's car. The New York police already were there and at first mistook the deputy sheriff for the .44 caliber killer, but quickly began a joint stakeout.
It's about 8:45. A subject came out of the building. He crossed from the sidewalk on the side that the 2 New York City officers were on to the street side. Now, I looked out and I said to the 2 officers, I think this might be him. He's coming towards a car. He did stop. He opened the door. I said, this is him. I jumped out of the car. I ran down the street, pulled my revolver, pointed at him. New York City, the officers were right there with me. We said, freeze, police, turn the key off, get out of the car, put your hands on the roof.
The arrest last night, in particular, was the result of, if you will, the simultaneous development of leads from 2 of our uniformed officers as a result of a summons, a totally mundane, ordinary, everyday act, but which proved to be a very vital clue.
Police ballistics tests today confirm that a revolver found in Berkowitz's car was the weapon used to kill Stacy Moskowitz. Also found in the car, a submachine gun and a note disclosing plans for a possible mass murder at a Long Island discotheque. A crime authorities say was thwarted with the arrest of Berkowitz at 8:45 last night. Steve Young, CBS News, New York.
Inspector, do you think that if you had not caught him, there would have been still more murders in the next few weeks? Do you have any feeling about that?
That would be purely speculative.
Okay. Can we also ask, the New York Post has said that Sam is probably this man, Sam Carr. Do you have any feeling about who Sam is? Is Son of Sam a name that the press has put on him? Is it the name that the police have tagged him?
Son of Sam is a name that we used first. As a result of the first writing, which was addressed to Captain Borelli, there were certain references made, certain usage made of the word Sam.
Okay.
In addressing an appeal to the person who had written that document, we addressed it Son of Sam.
Right. Now,
that was the first usage.
Okay. Do you have any idea now who Sam is, and is it this man, Sam Carr, as the New York Post has
I have
said?
no idea. The 45.
All 3 years.
That's correct.
That's in the Bronx?
That's correct. There is no indication that there was a monitoring of the police radio frequencies.
The history of
this story responsibly throughout it, or do you have any feelings there were parts of the media that did?
I think you, as a member of the media, are a better judge of that than I would be.
Commissioner, can you reveal how Berkowitz got away the last time?
That's a matter of proof for use at a later time. Mr. Carr has been spoken to by members who are in the investigation.
He's a young guy.
I'm a young fella. You're right. How'd you know that?
I did. Just say ready. Can you get back, please? Forgive me, but, we've got to do a story, and we've got 1,000 faces. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Let us do our story, okay? And then we'll take your pictures later. Promise. Just get out of our picture for now, would you please? Thank you very much.
Take 4.
Yeah, take 20. Chief Keenan, tonight, can young women sit with their boyfriends in parked cars? Can people feel relieved?
Over the past week, there have been a scarcity of parkers in lonely areas, as you can imagine. I have a feeling we're going to have a recurrence of parking conditions.
If there is a young girl in the city tonight with long brown hair and she's got a boyfriend and she wants to sit under the moon, do you think she can do that tonight?
Yeah, over the past few months, the tremendous tension has built up not only within the department, the investigators working on the case, but within the city, the people of the city. And I think the events of this morning have just relieved all those tensions so that we all feel a lot better.
This means you're pretty sure you've got the right man.
I think we are. Yes. We're
That's
positive.
unusual for you to be able to say that in advance, isn't it?
I think when we take all the facts we have and the corroboration we have, we're certain we have the right man.
Can you tell us how Dave Berkowitz felt? We are feeling relief. Did he seem to be relieved that he was caught?
Yes, that was my definite impression. He seemed relaxed and relieved.
And even today, when he was arraigned and seemed to be tired, was there still that impression of relief?
I wasn't at his arraignment, but I would think that attitude would have persisted.
What gave you the feeling that he was relieved?
The expression on his face and his general attitude.
Describe it to me, would you, Inspector?
Well, resignedness is resignedness. He looked resigned to what was happening. He didn't look unhappy. He didn't look elated. He looked quite passive.
Did he show any remorse when you discussed any of the cases?
I really couldn't say that he was remorseful if he should have been or not.
Did he joke at all?
No, he did not.
Did he show any recognition or any sign that he knew the name Sam, or was he always referred to as Dave? Did he call himself Son of Sam?
I'd rather not answer that question.
What about you two? Do you feel relieved?
We certainly are. We're certainly very relieved and very happy.
What are you going to do tonight, Inspector?
Tonight I'm going to be with my wife, and we have company, and we may go out to eat.
Does she remember what you look like?
Oh, she does, but she doesn't remember when I last bought her a meal.
And what are you going to do tonight, Chief?
I'm going to go home and go to bed early tonight for a change.
Well, because of you two, it not only seems that Son of Sam is relieved, but millions of New Yorkers, and it seems millions of people all over the world are relieved today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Inspector Dan, how long did it take since you went out to
Thank you very much.
Tell me what you can about Mr. Berkowitz, what kind of person he was.
Well, I never really talked that much with him, but he did work on a slug belt with me. But he never seemed the type to, the violent type or anything. And the thing was that, like you said before, I never heard him talk really about women. No, but it's that there's so many people working in there, but he didn't seem the type. No, he seemed kind of friendly too.
You surprised?
Yes, I'm surprised. I mean, you work with a guy for a while, you think you get to know something about him, and then you find this out, it's a shock.
What kind of guy was he? I mean, did you know him well enough to say or not?
I would say that I think he was a pretty good worker. I would say that much. He seemed like a pretty good worker. He didn't seem like one of the nuts.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, some of the people over there a bit...
Did you ever discuss Son of Sam with him?
No, never. Never.
Did you ever hear him make any comment about the Son of Sam case?
No. No.
Did he ever talk about weapons, pistols?
No. No.
Thank you.
Never. Okay.
What's your name, please?
My name? Well, I don't know if I should give you my name.
Come on. We've talked to other people
all right.
here.
Well, my name is Carlos Pacheco.
And how do you spell your last name?
Pacheco.
And how long have you worked here?
In November, I'll be here 7 years.
7 years. As a clerk?
Right.
Okay. And you knew him up on the...
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Oh, I would say a few months.
2 months, okay.
Right.
Thank you. Okay. Let me ask your name first.
I'm Ulery Lead.
How do you spell that?
L-E-I-D, my last name.
L-E-I-D.
L-E-I-D.
And your first name?
Ulery.
How do you spell that?
U-L-E-R-Y.
Good. And what do you do here?
I manage the cafeteria during the summer and several shifts.
How come you, how did you know David Berkowitz?
Oh, I recognize him just from the picture. He came many times to the cafeteria on coffee breaks, lunch breaks, and, you know, as usual, I served him, you know, whatever he wanted.
What kind of person?
Very quiet. He never really bothered anyone. And he seemed to be a very normal person. Never had any suspicions. It's not as far as Son of Sam, no way.
Did you talk to him at all?
Just how you doing, stuff like that. And he was pretty polite. Never showed any kind of signs of arrogance or anything like that.
You never heard him talk? Did you ever hear any discussions he was having?
Oh, no. He seemed to be always in a rush, you know, always in a rush doing things of his own. Never really spoke a lot to anybody. He might have had 1 or 2 friends in the post office. I think he had one pretty close friend.
Do you know who he was?
No, I don't know. But he usually spoke to just about a couple of people, you know, and that was just that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just explain for me again what you're a little surprised. Probably everybody else is too.
Okay, yeah, okay. You want me to do so now? Oh, well, I'm pretty surprised about it because I never thought anybody would actually catch up with Son of Sam. My own theory was that they'll never catch up with him. I was really surprised that they did, and much more surprised that they caught up with him in the place where I worked.
Obviously.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
I'm just so glad they caught him because I have a child of my own. And you worry every night when he goes out if he's ever coming back.
It's a good thing they caught him. I guess the cops did their homework. The cops are getting bum wrapped on everything else. I guess they did their homework on this one.
What does it mean to the people of this neighborhood particularly?
The panic's over. Everyone was afraid. Everyone was pointing the fingers at this one, pointing the fingers at that one. Afraid to sit on a stoop. No one wanted to go out, come home at night. It's over.
I don't know nothing myself. Yeah, I know. That's what they should do. That's what they should do to the guy. Tear it apart. Hey, come here. I want to see the front page. Over here, over here. You see that? Okay, hold me down. Excuse me. Tony! What did you say, Tony? Tony, smile. Tony, smile. Shut up, boy. Smile. Este quiere trabajo de él.
Yeah, for the 7:30 shift. For 7:30 now, all of them should be out in about 3 or 4 minutes.
And be out?
Yeah.
Why don't we just see if we can talk to some people who said a lot of different things, but you worked with him. What are your thoughts about what's happened?
Well, this guy is a loner. He never talked to nobody. He's like a strange person, you know. He wasn't much of a person, a socialized person. He would never say good morning or good night, or he just will pass by you like nothing. It was, that's nothing. No socialization.
Not many friends.
No, not at all.
What's your thought about it? You surprised?
Yeah, right under my own territory where you never knew the guy. If the guy, you figure that, a postal employee, it might be a lot of reprisal now against the post office. Now, imagine you go to a person, you deliver their mail.
You don't really think that.
Well, I don't know. The post office, they attack the post office all over the place,
What is your name, please?
Roberto Cedeno.
How do you spell your last name?
Cedeno.
And you're a letter carrier?
That's correct.
How long have you been a letter carrier?
5 years.
How did you know Mr. Berkowitz?
Well, like I said, I never really knew him. We just barely passed by him, I knew him. I recognized him by the picture in the paper, and
thank you.
That was it. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please, the post office statement concerning
Mr. Berkowitz.
Mr. Berkowitz.
Yes, he was hired by the Bronx Post Office in March of 1977, just 5 months ago. His name was taken from the Civil Service Register, where he had earned a rating of 85.5 on the examination.
What kind of an employee was he?
He was a satisfactory employee. We had no problems with him, no disciplinary action at any time. He was a normal employee in every sense of the word. What type of work did he do here? He did distribution of mails on a machine.
What about his relations with his co-workers, fellow employees?
He was a shy, non-talkative, non-communicative type employee. He did not speak to employees unless he was spoken to. He was quiet, nothing irrational or abnormal about his conduct.
How did he get along with the female employees here?
He got along satisfactorily with them. I interviewed one female employee with whom he underwent his training course here, and she indicated that he was perfectly normal and never suspected him of any wrongdoing.
What's your own?
Women working during this night shift?
Yes, of course. We're equal employment, equal opportunity employers.
What's your own thought about Mr. Berkowitz and what's happening?
I am shocked. I think this is a horrible thing, but as far as his postal service is concerned, his performance was satisfactory here.
Did his lack of communication with his fellow workers give his superiors any cause of concern?
No, because there are many people who just don't talk too much, that are naturally shy, and he fell into that category.
I know that. Thank you. I need a cutaway.
Feather, even if you want to.
No. This employee, we screened him thoroughly when he came into the service. We found that prior to his entrance into the Postal Service, he worked for IBI Security Service here in the Bronx. He spent 2 years with that outfit, and we got a satisfactory report from them.
What kind of work was that?
Vacancy that provides.
Why don't we ask him again?
Yeah, I think we ought to come around. Murray, would you come around? Yeah.
Could you just go over that for us again, please, what you were saying?
Yes, prior to his entry into the Postal Service, he worked for IBI Security Service in the Bronx.
As a what, sir?
I don't know what the nature of the work he performed with that agency.
What type of a business is IBI?
That's a security service.
And how was his record there?
Satisfactory.
And prior to that, he was in the armed forces?
He was in the military for 3 years, from June of 1971 to June of 1974. He received an honorable discharge. We have a photostatic copy of his discharge on file. There's nothing derogatory in the records regarding his military service, nor is there any derogatory information pertaining to prior civilian service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
IBI.
What kind of an employee was, excuse me, kids, please, out of the way. Come on, we're trying to work here. Chief Inspector Tuck, explain for me, what kind of an employee was David Berkowitz?
Well, first of all, when we hire an employee who comes into our office, he has the applications to fill out, fingerprint cards, we fingerprint them. Print goes to the state of New York, print goes to Washington, D.C. We give him a thorough interview in our office. Then when we send the prints in, if nothing comes back on him as a security check where he has no record, then he's okay to work for us as a security guard.
Did anything come back on him?
We had nothing come back saying that he had any record of where he couldn't work for a security company. If he did, he would have been terminated. The period of time that he worked for us was mostly part-time, weekends.
What kind of work?
Just as a regular security guard, various locations.
Inspector Tuck, what kind of a work? Can't speak English. Inspector Tuck, what kind of work did Berkowitz do for your company?
Mostly factory locations. Where we had factory locations.
Was he a security guard?
A security guard.
Was he armed?
No.
In the 2 years that he worked for you, Berkowitz worked under you. What kind of an employee was he?
A very quiet individual who did his job.
Any trouble?
No trouble whatsoever. We have supervisors who check locations frequently, daytime and nighttime. Always when we check the job, who's doing his job, whatever the duties were.
You knew David Berkowitz. You knew him for how many years?
Not personally. We have at least 1,500 guards. It's impossible for me to know each one personally. But I know him from the record that we have on file.
What kind of a person was he?
Quiet individual who did his job.
Now, let me ask you one other question, if you explain for me. You said that there was a check made into his background. Could you explain that for me?
The check in the background is done on every employee that we hire through the state of New York, which is Albany. Fingerprints go there, and also fingerprints go to Washington, D.C. to be checked out. If no prints come back to us that the man has no criminal record, then he can continue working. If they come back, then we automatically have to terminate the security officer.
David Berkowitz came up clean and was hired as a guard.
At the time, yes.
Did he ever talk to you about weapons or anything like that? 44s? Did you have any knowledge of that at all?
Never whatsoever.
If I read what I read is true, I would like to say to all those families that have lost their children and have had children injured, I deeply grieve for you with all my heart. At this time, my loss is not because of one son that I adopted, but my loss is multiplied by what each and every one of the parents of these crimes feel in his or her heart. If David did these things, I don't expect you to forgive them, forgive him, as this would be too much to ask of you. The only thing I do ask of you is to understand the pain and the agony that is within me, knowing that the pain and agony of all you parents. I ask of you not to burden us with your feelings towards David. By us, I mean all those people who have known David and me. We too are victims of this tragedy. I will live with this heartache for the rest of my life. I am so deeply saddened that nothing that I can say can really... Mr. Stern and Mr. Jolkat, who is representing me, to call this press conference so that I can express my true feelings about this whole matter. Until a few days ago, I was leading a normal life in retirement. Then my life was completely turned around. I keep thinking it is only a bad dream, and I would soon wake up. I don't know what's been written about David is true or not. From what I read, my mind cannot deny what my heart accepts. If I read in the...
Sir, could any father in this country be in your situation today?
I don't understand what not feeling any possible feelings after reading the media reports and seeing pictures and so forth.
Do you think what has happened to you and your son could happen to any family?
I believe so.
Mr. Berkowitz, have you seen David since his arrest?
No, I haven't.
When was the last time you did see him, sir?
Last summer.
Mr. Berkowitz, could you please tell us what David was like as a child?
I can't answer you that.
What do you plan to say to him when you first do see him?
I don't know. It will be spontaneous.
When did you first read or hear about any of these killings, long before David was implicated? How long ago was it?
Oh, about the second killing, which was last year.
What was your feeling at that time when you read about it?
I thought it was a nut doing it.
One of the many questions that has come up in the investigation of David Berkowitz is why the fingerprint found on a Son of Sam letter was not located in FBI files. ABC's Bill Matney spoke with FBI officials and was told that the prints of David Berkowitz are not among the 62 million prints in their files, despite the fact that he was fingerprinted during military service. The FBI said that 20 to 25% of all fingerprints submitted by the Army are illegible or smeared to the point of being useless for identification. Another question in the Son of Sam case, will David Berkowitz stand trial, and if so, when and where? ABC's Tim O'Brien reporting now on the legal steps leading to trial.
Berkowitz is being held under heavy security at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. Psychiatrists are trying to find out if he has the mental capacity to stand trial. The test is twofold. Does he understand the predicament he's in, and can he assist in his own defense? The decision belongs to the judge alone. If the judge decides to commit Berkowitz to a mental institution, a trial would be required as soon as he got out. Once a trial has been ordered, then the defense has the option of pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. Here the test is entirely different. The jury would have to decide that Berkowitz knew what he was doing and that he knew it was wrong. Fears that Berkowitz might get off merely because he claims a dog talked to him or because he heard a 6,000-year-old voice are unjustified. Abnormal behavior clearly is not enough. But there are still other considerations, and we talked about some of them with trial attorney Louis Nizer.
Can he get a fair trial in this community where the passions are so strong? I understand these passions and emotions. They're quite natural. Each of us feels as if we'd like to kill him with our own hands. That's the first reaction. But that's the time to be civilized, or else we become like the Sons of Sam ourselves.
A dangerous atmosphere surrounded Berkowitz's arrest. As he was led to police headquarters, spectators gathered outside chanting, "Kill, kill, kill." Friends of some of the victims were similarly incensed.
Geraldo, if he does come out, I tell you this, and this is a promise from the people, that he will not live long enough to enjoy himself.
I don't want the people to feel that the law is inadequate. It does protect the public, but we don't want a lynch spirit. We don't want a mob spirit. That's how you get lynching, is when there's such a mob spirit, and in the next case it may be an innocent man. Maybe in this case, to some extent, the proof has to be put in.
Leon Stern has been retained by Berkowitz's father as defense attorney.
What do you think about the mob reaction that his arrest has received?
I thought it was a disgrace, an outrage, and revealed the weaknesses and frailties of many of the people of this community.
Will this affect his chances for a fair trial? This atmosphere?
Oh, undoubtedly.
Stern adds that the mob atmosphere was inflamed by sensational news reporting.
Well, I think all of this media coverage is hurting the case and will make it very difficult to secure a fair trial for this defendant in any particular jurisdiction in the metropolitan area, and possibly even far beyond the metropolitan area of the city or state of New York.
With the arrest of such a likely suspect, some are overlooking the necessity to continue on. Son of Sam case is far from closed. In fact, the most important phase of it is just beginning. We must ask, what kind of trial is he likely to get in a community where virtually no one is presuming he is innocent? No, it's not just a legal technicality. A fair trial is a lot more than that. And what an absurd and frightening commentary it would be should the guarantee of a fair trial be afforded to everyone except those whom we believe to be guilty. Tim O'Brien, ABC News.
David Berkowitz, the man arrested last week as the .44 caliber killer, is to be taken today on a brief trip from a New York City hospital to a New York City courthouse, and Jim Kilpatrick reports.
Court officials secured papers ordering Berkowitz to personally appear in a Brooklyn courtroom for arraignment, the reading of charges against him. The 24-year-old suspected son of Sam is undergoing examinations in a New York mental hospital to determine if he is psychologically fit to stand trial.
Berkowitz is expected to appear in court today. His attorneys may argue that he is mentally incapable of understanding the charges against him and ask the judge for a postponement. The Brooklyn grand jury indicted the suspected son of Sam on 4 counts, all related to the latest shooting. Murder in the second degree, the killing of Stacy Moskowitz, attempted murder, the wounding of her date, Robert Vigilante, felonious assault, and criminal possession of a weapon, the .44 caliber pistol. Other grand juries in Queens and the Bronx will consider evidence later in 7 previous shootings, which began more than a year ago. Jim Kilpatrick, CBS News,
David
New York.
Berkowitz pleaded guilty to all 6 of the so-called Son of Sam murders that terrorized the city for a year. Bill Stewart reports.
Police sirens announced the arrival of Berkowitz at the courthouse amid the tightest security many courthouse observers could remember. Inside, Berkowitz was led handcuffed into the crowded courtroom where sat survivors of the Son of Sam attacks and the relatives of those who were killed. The family of last victim Stacy Moskowitz, seated just in front of the parents of first victim Donna Loria. Beside them, Donna DeMacy, wearing a neck brace from her wounds. Leon Stern, Berkowitz's lawyer, told the court that Berkowitz's insistence on pleading guilty to all charges was contrary to his advice. Stern favored a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. But Judge Joseph Corso, who had earlier pronounced Berkowitz competent to stand trial, accepted Berkowitz's guilty plea after taking the defendant back through the events of the last Son of Sam shootings. Judge Corso, why did you go out that night, last July 31st? Berkowitz, to kill somebody. Anybody in particular? No. You approached the Moskowitz car? Yes, and I shot them. How many times? Asked the judge. 5, replied Berkowitz. Who did you aim at first? The girl. Who were you trying to shoot? Both of them. Why? So they would die. The dead girl's sister sobbed in the audience. Outside, the father of another victim had this reaction.
Like I said, I don't think, well, justice was done, but not the way it should have really been done. He still don't deserve to live. I still have to support him for being where he is today and where he'll spend the rest of his life. I'll never bring my daughter back. I'll never bring all the other kids back either, but that's all I can say. And I'm sorry I gotta run. Please, excuse me, huh? Come on. Go.
When it was all over and Berkowitz was again led away from the courthouse, he had faced 3 judges and pleaded guilty to 6 murders, 7 woundings, and lesser crimes. If he receives the maximum punishment at his sentencing 2 weeks from now, Berkowitz faces 25 years to life for each of the 6 murders alone. Bill Stewart, ABC News, New York.
Berkowitz may also turn out to be what one official called the biggest arsonist in New York history. In a secret diary disclosed today in court, Berkowitz claimed to have set nearly 2,000 fires in the Bronx since 1974.
In Brooklyn, New York today, David Berkowitz was to be sentenced for the 6 Son of Sam slayings, but that's not the way it turned out, the Steve Young reports.
Shortly after he arrived at the Brooklyn courthouse, Berkowitz bit a guard badly enough to send him to the hospital as several guards stopped him from lunging toward a 7th-floor window. 90 minutes late, he made a wild entrance into the courtroom, looking straight at Mrs. Nisa Moskowitz, mother of one of his 6 murder victims, Stacy Moskowitz. To a weird, nursery rhyme-like tune, Berkowitz, who had never known Stacy Moskowitz, sang, "Stacy was a whore." Mrs. Moskowitz bolted out of her seat and screamed back, "You animal." That's right, Berkowitz replied in a whining voice. And then, Robert Vigilante, Stacy's date the night she died, who was also shot by Berkowitz and lost an eye, rose and shouted, "You creep." After a recess, judges from the 3 boroughs where the murders occurred took the bench one at a time. The first quoted the last psychiatric report. It seemed to predict today's events. "Do you know what will happen during sentencing?" Berkowitz is asked. Then the psychiatrist's comment, Berkowitz's mood changes once again. Now his face lights up, his eyes twinkle. "I know, but I'm not telling." To a suggestion that there be another psychiatric evaluation in view of today's turmoil, a friend of the Moskowitz family bristled, stood, and shouted, "It's not justice. What about the families? They're human." Applause rolled over the courtroom. When a second judge spoke of delaying sentencing, another of Berkowitz's victims, Donna DeMacy, who was shot in the neck, shouted to the judge, "It should happen to you what happened to me." Later, she was cynical about Berkowitz's courtroom behavior.
I felt like killing. I felt like scratching his eyes out. Because it was an act, that's why.
Yes. And Robert Vigilante explained his courtroom outburst.
Total anger. That's it, just total outrage, and I really couldn't control myself.
Bronx District Attorney Mario Marola argued with the judge from his borough. This court has to bite the bullet and sentence him today. The district attorney's argument that psychiatric examinations could go on forever did not persuade the bench. Another examination was ordered and sentencing was delayed until June 12th. Steve Young, CBS News, at Brooklyn Supreme Court.
David Berkowitz, Sidney Biddle Barrows, Gene Harris. Their crimes ranged from mayhem to murder, but there is a common thread. All of these criminals sold their stories to publishers or movie producers, and all have been targeted by a New York state law that takes such profits and turns them over to their victims, a law that is now being challenged in federal court. It's called the Son of Sam Law. It dates back to 1977, when David Berkowitz was terrorizing New York City. It was thought the Son of Sam could make millions selling his story, so the law was passed to take that money from criminals like Berkowitz and give it to their victims.
I do owe him something. Of course, nothing I can do could be undone.
There's a sense of injustice on the part of the public that a person who commits such heinous crimes should benefit from the crimes that he committed.
Under the Son of Sam law, the New York Crime Victims Board has had its successes taking book and movie money away from criminals, most notably in the case of the Dog Day Afternoon bank robbery, where the hostages shared about $100,000 in profits. But the Son of Sam law is now in jeopardy. A challenge is being mounted not from criminals, but from publishers, who claim the law violates the First Amendment and freedom of speech.
The existence of these laws has caused a lot of second thinking with respect to publishing projects, and has, without a doubt in my mind, caused some publishing projects never to get off the ground.
But the law hasn't stopped several high-profile criminals from telling and selling their stories. Stranger in Two Worlds, Gene Harris relates how she shot Scarsdale diet doctor Herman Tarnauer. Wise Guy, the story of mobster Henry Hill, the book at the center of the challenge to the Son of Sam law. And Trading Secrets, the insider trading tale of former Wall Street Journal reporter R. Foster Winans. The Crime Victims Board is going after the money earned by all of these criminal authors.
There's nothing in the Constitution says that he has to earn money from depicting those crimes.
But R. Foster Winans argues that without financial incentive, important stories will go untold.
It's to our advantage to have more knowledge about why people do these things and maybe how they can be prevented in the future.
Already there has been one successful challenge to the Son of Sam law. Sidney Biddle Barrows, the Mayflower Madam, won a court battle arguing that her crime, running a high-priced call girl service, had no victims. She gets to keep the money from an upcoming TV movie and her best-selling book. As for the Son of Sam himself, David Berkowitz found a loophole that exempted him from the very law named after him. That loophole has since been closed, and several of his victims, like Robert Vigilante, who was shot in the eye, have successfully sued for their share of $100,000 in profits.
It can never bring back my eyesight, the money. It can't be replaced. But I feel I should be compensated a lot more than what, we will be getting compensated for.
The outcome of the legal action against the Son of Sam law could have far-reaching implications. Nearly 40 states and the federal government have passed similar laws, using the New York law as a model. CBS Morning News continues now. It is 22 minutes after the hour.
One of the most talked about movies this season takes us back 22 years. Spike Lee's new film, Summer of Sam, is rekindling dark memories of a serial killer's reign of terror over New York City. Memories some people had hoped might never surface again. The .44 caliber killer, known as Son of Sam, stalked the city's nighttime streets for 13 months. David Berkowitz killed 6 people and wounded 7 others before police caught up with him in August of 1977. Judy Placido was shot by Berkowitz while she was waiting outside a disco. 3 bullets tore through her body, one landing a .25 inch from her spine, but she survived. And 22 years later, the movie Summer of Sam has hit the big screen, and Placido, although her injuries have long healed, is once again forced to confront the emotional scars from her brush with the Son of Sam. And Judy Placido joins us in our studio this morning. Good morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
There are emotional scars, and I know that a few months ago it all crashed on you in a way. What happened? Tell us about that.
Well, I think the impetus behind that was the beginning of filming of The Summer of Sam, Spike Lee's movie, in my area where I live.
So you had to walk by it.
So I had to pass it every morning, going to work. And that to me was very disruptive in and of itself.
But what actually happened? I mean,
at that particular time, I emotionally started to feel and accept what had happened to me 22 years ago. Quite frankly, I was in denial. And it seemed that this movie brought to the surface my acceptance to the fact that I am a victim.
Major panic attack. I understand you also
attacks.
ended up in the hospital, but everything's okay now?
Not necessarily,
Not
no.
necessarily?
Just recently I had to take a 2-month leave of absence from work because I'm still having residual effects.
Why do you want to talk about it then now, 22 years later?
Well, it's actually a therapeutic type of thing for me at the moment. And secondly, I want the public to know that when I met with Spike Lee, based on this movie, he spoke to me and said that there would be no reference to the victims in terms of the incidents being portrayed. And he basically lied to me. And I felt very violated then and feel very violated now. And I feel that anyone having to do with this movie is really capitalizing on the suffering for the sake of the dollar.
Have you spoken to other families as well, other victims?
Yes, I have.
And they have the same feeling as you?
Yes, they do.
There have been many other movies made based on real-life stories like yours. Why is this any different, though?
I feel it's different because it's not that he's telling a story, it's the way in which he handled it. Spike Lee has done many movies that people are aware of, particularly Malcolm X, in which he consulted with the Muslim community and the Shabbat's family. I feel that he did not give us the same courtesy as he did.
My understanding is that you're probably going to go see the movie. Why would you want to do that and relive some of that?
Well, again, there's a therapeutic side to this, but the other side is, since I was lied to, it's now a feeling that I need to determine what accuracy is really in this film, because Spike Lee obviously portrayed this in such a way that was not, that was actually demeaning to both Italian Americans and the victims in this movie. And I know differently.
Well, we do thank you, Judy Placido, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Now here's Russ.
Thank you, Thalia. Now let's change directions and talk about summertime fun. For lots of us, summertime means spending the time around a backyard pool.